Welcome to Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. My name is Brandon Bornancin, a serial salesperson and entrepreneur, and I'm sitting down with the world's best sales experts to share their top secrets to sales success. Hello and welcome to this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. And I'm thrilled, honored, humbled, and grateful to have with me today my good friend Lauren Bailey. Lauren, LB, is a serial entrepreneur, the founder of Factor 8 and the Sales Bar, and she's a leader at the Girls Club on a mission to help more people feel more successful at work. Lauren, in 2018, was voted the top 25 most influential leaders in inside sales, top 25 sales coaches, and top 35 most influential women in sales, all in 1 year.
That was a good year.
Yeah, dude. I mean, jeez. Her company, Factor 8, has been recognized by many in the industry as one of the best sales and management programs out there. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us today.
Brandon, that was such a great intro. I feel like I can just I'm done.
Dude, just mic drop. Mic drop.
Total mic drop, right? Plus, people are usually commenting about my level of energy, and I feel like a corpse next to you.
I know. This is the problem with this interview. We're going to talk really fast and go through like 1,000 pages.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's dive in. So the audience is dying to know, Lauren, LB, to get you up to speed. They want to know two things, and you got to bring the goods. Number one, what is your top sales secret? Sales secrets from the top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. What is your number one game-changing sales secret? But don't share it right this second. The audience is also dying to know, LB, who are you? Where'd you come from? Where'd you work? And what are the successes and failures, which we call micro secrets, from everything you've learned at every place that you worked, that leveled you up to the next gig and the next gig and the next gig, which leads you into the sales secret. So without further ado, I'm going to let you give us a little bit about you and where you came from and how you got started in sales.
All right. You want to start there first? We're holding the secret.
Listen we got to hold it.
Gentlemen. It's going to be really freaking good. All right. So I would say that my first big girl job in sales was at Insight. Insight is a CDW competitor, right?
Awesome.
Reseller of computer, and I was massively overemployed. I got hired on as a sales manager, having zero experience in phone sales.
Just like out of school, you just got that gig and just went into management?
I did a couple little things after school. Like I moved overseas and I worked for a project management company. And
where'd you work overseas?
I moved to Holland. Yeah.
Holland.
Yeah. In Maastricht.
I don't know anything about Holland.
Well, the wooden shoes and the windmills are actually true. What you probably don't know is that they manufacture some of the most beautiful people in the world. And so a couple things happen.
Maybe I got to check out Holland.
Oh, you do? Like a couple things. Like number one, I stuck out like a sore thumb because I know, big shock, but I am not a 6 foot tall blonde supermodel. And then number two, I brought home a husband. So that,
wow. Hey.
Actually work out. Yeah. No, don't. I imported that time. Not so good. I bought local the second time and I'm going to recommend.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah. It was good
don't import, go local.
Import.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay. So you travel overseas, you did a bunch of different gigs and then you're like, I want to get into sales.
No, I wanted to move to Phoenix. I was living in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which is only slightly colder and crappier than Columbus.
I know, dude. Wow. At least you're from the Midwest, though, and they got a good football team, too.
Well, we do our best. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm a hardy Midwest stock, but I literally couldn't take the gray anymore. So
it's -2 right now. -2.
That's bad. I'm kind of sad that it's not getting up to 70 today here.
Oh my God.
I had to close the blinds because of the sunshine. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to move to Phoenix. So basically it was like a rental car and a map because I am that old and like just going on interviews. And
why Phoenix? You just like threw a dart at the map?
Do you know what? I always knew I wanted to move here. I don't know why. It's like one of those things, like if you look back at your gut or, like fate steering you, like I knew that I had to live here and I'd never been here in my whole life.
This
and I'm so
crazy.
Glad. Yeah.
That's totally a weird, like just random. You know what? Actually, when I graduated college, I wanted to move to New York and I'd never been there. And I was like, I got to go to New York.
Did you do it?
Same thing. Yeah, I did it.
See, that's fantastic. That's really
cool. It's cold though. It's also cold there in the winter.
I wish
I picked Phoenix.
I know Phoenix is a little easier, but don't call me in August because I brag about it slightly less.
Yeah. So awesome. So
I heard about it, I think, because they have Thunderbird here. It's like the #1 international business school. And I knew that I wanted to travel the world. And so it was like, okay, I know that's what I want to do. So I went out trying to get the job experience that helped me get the scholarship to get the MBA from Thunderbird. But I wound up traveling the world for like 3 different jobs without it. I was like,
that's awesome. I don't need the MBA then.
I really don't want to stop working and go to school again because that kind of sucked. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Okay. So
I'm in Phoenix.
Moved it.
Yeah, I convinced them to hire me as a sales manager. They're like, I think you'd be our best rep and you'd move up into management quickly. And I have no idea where I got the balls to say it, but I was like, no, thanks, but no thanks. If you want me, you're going to bring me in at a manager level. And they did.
Crazy.
I know. Like, where did I get the guts?
Is there a micro secret there that you could share with the audience? Like, why did you want the management so bad? And B, how'd you get the confidence to just, this is it or I'm out?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you that I was born a very confident girl, but I was actually the opposite, which is what's inspired me to start Girls Club, which I know is like 8 micro secrets in the interview from now. But it literally just, there was a voice in my head at the time. Like it came in, I shook a little bit, and I just got this message of like, go for it. And I did it. So the micro secret is don't discount yourself, because if somebody comes in and asks you to take something less, you may wind up at less, but I mean, it's almost a negotiation tip, right? Like, no, you ask for more. And if you have to wind up at less, do it. But not enough women do take those kinds of risks. And I love that put me on the trajectory that it did.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So they give you the job.
Yes.
And that was your first sales and sales management role.
I had been in sales before. Yeah, I'd been in sales. It was like inside, outside field. I was selling training at the time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so, and I'd done like some retail management and then lived and worked overseas. And then, so this was my first like big girl job. I was 23.
Awesome.
Yeah. The youngest person on my team. I used to pretend to be older. Do I even have it? Check this out. I tried to look older because, I was super young and everybody on my team was older. So I bought reading glasses that I would wear to meetings.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? And now I need them. Right. But like, I looked like an idiot, Brandon.
So did you have to like get the lenses? Like, did you have to like make sure like, hey, I need to make sure that the lenses are clear?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I like they were total props and I looked like a dumbass.
Gosh, yeah. That's gold.
Yeah.
That's gold.
I did. I was really nervous about being so young. It was funny. Yeah.
So maybe like and how did the experience go? Like how long were you there? How'd you do there?
I would say that the first quarter were probably 3 of the worst months of my life. I was way out over my skis. I would get home at 7 p.m. I would either sit in my car and just stare at the wall or cry. I was all over my head. I get it. And it's hard when you get into a new job. It's really hard when you get into management. Like, it was new industry. It was like 3 news at once. And it wasn't very nice to myself to do that.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Probably took a while to ramp, took a while to even learn sales management, sales leadership. And you're super young at 23. It was tough.
Okay, but here's the Rocky theme moment. Like, start the movie montage. Here's what happened the next quarter. Like, I got my shit together, right? And I realized, okay, so here's my gaps. And the biggest gap is learning. Like, I'm new. Everybody on my team is new. We were cold calling into the Fortune 500. And if you think about that for a second, easy. And there's not a lot of new leads that come there, right? So new team being stood up. We got the stuff that nobody else could break into in the entire division. So it's like uphill climb. So the team and I bonded together and we realized, we're going to be in big trouble if we don't figure this out. So we designated experts. Right? Like, you're really good at cracking in and you're really good at solutioning the tech and you're really good at getting shit done in the system and you're really good at figuring out how to get the order processed. And so we created like this go-to thing, like, hey, Shep, you crack into it for me. Melissa, you figure out how do I, and Janice, you're in charge of, and we all came together and every week we would bring people in to teach us stuff. And like, that is what started my focus on learning as the solution, right? Because it was all stuff that nobody taught us how to do in new hire training, right?
Damn.
Yeah. So if I look back now at what we offer at Factor 8 and on the sales bar and in Girls Club, it's almost like I'm still fixing that problem I had in those first 3 months. Right.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it's almost like, is it like almost like predictable revenue, like SDR, AE, but you took it like you got your SDR cranking, you got your AE cranking, and then you got the contract person cranking. So like you could just move everything from like cold to like completed.
We kind of did that. You're right. Now let's be clear. It was the 90s. So nobody heard of those terms. Like freaking, they called it telemarketing probably still. Yeah. Right. It was brand new. Like literally, if we wanted to prospect, we got a phone book. If I wanted to record calls, I had a tape recorder, you know,
oh gosh, remember that?
Remember that? Like we have to hit record and play at the same time. So
that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. That brings me back to like days in middle school. I was trying to like record Def Leppard off the radio.
That's awesome.
Hit record and play. Anyway,
so how did it go? Specializing everyone.
I'll tell you what, we nailed it. And then our next quarter, we were number 1 in the division.
Awesome.
And we were number 3 in the company. And what everybody else would like to tell you about that is that we were young, so we had smaller quotas. And what we would like to tell you about that is that we kicked ass.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, we nailed it. So
it's funny. I love how you position it like, hey, this is what people will tell you and this is what we'll tell you.
And this is the truth. Yeah. And this is the truth. So I parlayed that into like what I really loved was coaching and developing these people. Like that's where I found my passion for that is you're great at this and let's play on it. And we have a gap here and let's fix it. So it wasn't like, gee, sorry, you don't know that. It was like, oh, let me go solve that. Right. So I became expert at finding the gaps and what people needed. And that was kind of the beginning of my superpower. Yeah.
Got it. And the secret at the CDW competitor, was it specialization of you and your team that like, was that the biggest takeaway? And then the next one was like learning?
The bigger takeaway was actually the sharing about it, finding someone's strengths and then building a very tight team to help them use each other and depend on each other for those strengths. Like it's a little softer than that. I wish I could tell you that I invented specialization of the AE role and the SDR role, but it's not the case. It was a lot softer.
So like if you were great at like cold calling and then this other person was great at emailing and then this other person was great
but then
they didn't have
but that's just in the sales category, right? You got to flip it also to we didn't understand the product. We didn't understand the process. We didn't understand the systems. We didn't understand the industry. We didn't understand the customer. So it was finding the gaps in all these different areas. Yeah.
Whole business ops. Yeah. Makes sense.
Which basically helped me then create, if I'm going to go 2 jobs forward, the microlearning that helped for that was, what are the categories of shit people need to know to do their job well? That's a technical term. Shit people need to know to do their job well. Because
I read about that in the textbook.
Yes. There's an acronym.
At Thunderbird.
Yes,
I was in Thunderbird.
TK. Yeah. Sounds like a boy band. So it's not what you normally get from companies in new hire training, right? We spend a lot of time on company orientation and here's the 87 people that were involved in the founding and like HR wants to test you on the timeline and tell me the one time ever you've had a customer say, gee, were you founded in A, 1987, right. B, 1991?
Tell me about the 17 awards that you've got.
Shut up.
No one says
that.
Yeah.
So we just do that wrong. And that experience helped me with that because 2 jobs later, I decided to take on new hire training. Okay. So, and that was really, really helpful. So I flipped over to Insight's sister company called Direct Alliance Corporation. And that was a BPO. That stands for Business Process Outsourcer. And they would sell on behalf of really big tech companies. So this was still like a billion years ago and Dell had just disrupted the IT industry. And so they needed to sell direct, right? And so like IBM, Compaq, because they used to exist then, and all these other companies were like, how the hell do we sell direct? We don't know the first thing about it. So they would outsource to my company. And I was in charge of a team for Compaq. And again, I was like, this is just ridiculous that people don't know how to get people on the phone. They don't know who to call.
Yeah.
They don't
You're
know.
like, I know this. Like, I've been doing this for years.
It's sort of like, yeah, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So I'm going to go fix it. And I took a job in as like the head of training for the IBM contract. And
awesome.
IBM was going to launch inside sales globally all over the world. And I was in charge of training their people how to sell direct.
It's cool. Maybe I worked at IBM Interactive, so maybe I got some of your training indirectly.
It could be.
Maybe
it could be.
I feel.
Yeah.
So, you're my Yoda.
That was fun.
So was it hard for you to go from like the sales to then the training?
No, it was super easy because I'm a salesperson, right? I'm a sales leader. I get it. And so I just went and solved for all the stuff that drove me crazy when I had completely incompetent reps coming onto my team.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not their fault. But like, if you think about who makes up a training department, I'm super sorry to you lovely training unicorns that are listening to this out there who get it. But 98% of your colleagues don't. They were raised in HR. And then we spend a ton of money, Brandon, a ton of money finding and hiring hundreds of salespeople at these large companies. And we give them to someone in HR to teach them how to sell.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense at all. So I loved filling the gaps. Like that is today my superpower. I need to put that on my business card is I can take the sales result and backward translate it into the sales behaviors that we need to move and change to create that end result.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How do you when you were at Direct Alliance, how would you figure out what someone is good or bad at? And then also, how did you create the curriculum, right? Because this wasn't done before.
Right.
You had to like figure out, okay, what are the buckets of things that people need trained on? And then also like, I'm trying to figure out like, what are my people great at? What are my people poor at? I mean, I've got all the KPIs, but for the audience listening, what's the best way to figure that out, where people are strong and weak? And then what's the curriculum, in your opinion, that are the best buckets to kind of educate?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to start with the buckets because that was what I learned in the first one. So to keep with the micro learning, that's number one. So the first one is systems, right? They got to learn the CRM and the intranet and the yada, yada,
like
yada.
The tech and the systems.
And the tools. Exactly. And the number one hack for that is they absolutely positively have to be hands-on to do this. So don't just like give them a manual or don't let them just watch the trainer. They need a sandbox system. They need to create dummy accounts. They need to look people up at Seamless.
That's a micro secret.
Yeah, big time. A lot of people screw that up. So make sure you've got a sandbox opportunity so that they can go and do that. And then the second hack there is that it has to be timed, right? If you want phone sellers and they can't do that at lightning speed while they're on the phone, you're effed.
Ah,
right?
Smart.
So,
like if I hear I'm not interested, no budget, already working with someone, like, or I got to get certain info about a product, you're saying, like, it's got to be like readily available.
You got to do it while you're on a phone call. So let them like play them a recorded call and have them follow along and like enter it into the CRM and go grab it and look it up and like see if they can keep pace with it and help build that. So the final exam, if you will, is just like a regular sales call, but it has to be in time with what that is. Otherwise, your reps
just in time execution.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're killing your efficiency because they're writing it down and then entering it later and forgetting it, and you're getting half a rep.
Got it.
All right. So that's systems. The second bucket is product. Most people screw this up, right? And it's obvious. Like Brandon, you and I are entrepreneurs. We love our product. Yep. If we have a chance to train somebody or anybody who's going to listen to us, we will barf about our product all day long. We sleep with it under our pillow. And sadly, those are the people that usually train our reps about it. Mm-hmm. Your customer does not care about all of that, especially at the front end of a sales process.
Yep.
So the micro learning for the product training is you got to focus on what is the ideal customer situation for your product or service. And what are the 3 questions that every rep needs to ask to uncover that situation to find a fit. Right? Like product training equals questions. It's sales training, right? They have to come together. What are the sales questions? What are the problems that it solves? And what are the questions you ask to uncover that? Does that make sense?
That's really good. And so like you're saying the product training, you have to identify the questions that the customer would ask?
Yeah.
Or
no,
like you said there were 3 things,
where is
right?
the customer today, right? So you're selling leads. Right? So I'm sure that like, here's choice one is your product training is how many people we have in our database, how often we refresh our database. Here's the 3 ways we beat the competition. Here's how our price model is different. Here's da-da-da-da-da, right? Like that's almost the speeds and feeds side of the product. What I'm saying is flip it and say, who needs leads, right? Are you selling against, are you trying to displace the competition, or are you selling the concept of leads? You start with that, right? And then you go in, let's say we're selling the concept of leads. What do I need to know about your business? What is the situation where somebody needs leads, right? Are you trying to grow? Are you trying to enter new markets? Perhaps do you have a revenue target that is raised? Have you maxed out all of the people in your current database? Are you like, you have to know what their sales goals are to see if leads are something that are going to feed that. And then you translate that one more time into, tell me about how your sales goals have changed this year. Tell me about the key challenges facing the company in terms of revenue, right? So
I love that.
You build the questions for the sales training, and that's what salespeople need.
It's almost like customer discovery or
100%.
Right?
Yes. Product training.
Who needs the product? What is the situation? Yep. What are their goals? And then how have things changed? And what are some of the key challenges and differentiators?
Yeah. And then you get to the next level. So that's like top of the funnel, uncovering the need or the situation for it. And then you get into, okay, what are the 3 ways that Seamless kills the competition? Well, I've got SaaS-based, right? It's available on demand. There's user feedback that helps
accuracy
keep it live all the time, and the accuracy, right?
Automation.
Bingo.
You go through it all.
Yeah. So now I know exactly how that beats my top 3 competitors, and I create a question around that, right? And so if I'm either, I use that either as tier 2 in my sales funnel or as tier 1 if I'm just overcoming the competition. Okay. Right? Like what percentage of the time do you find an issue with accuracy, or how many lists are you pulling a month, or what are you paying per lead, or any of those could, like, you're translating it into questions. And that, what it prevents is the show up and throw up that 90% of reps are doing. Does that make sense?
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So you translate it into questions.
The show up and throw up will kill you.
And everybody does it.
So you train around asking these questions around systems and training around systems, around product, training around product, and then around competition.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's creating good questions. So systems is about timing, and product is about sales questions to uncover the need for your product, right? Or help, if you're really good, you help create the need for your product, right? There's several levels of that competency in sales that we don't have time to get into today, but that's like 2 quick hacks on systems and product. Bucket number 3, because we're still way back there, is sales. You would be surprised how many folks aren't teaching sales. Even the companies who are like, I hire people who have the sales experience. Let me tell you, brother, it's different, right? Like phone selling is not the same as carrying a bag.
Right.
And even people who have 10 years experience, I listen to a couple thousand sales calls every year, and it will make your ears bleed.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of sales calls.
I know.
How many companies do you talk to that don't have like the internal sales training? Curious.
I'm going to give you a percentage and tell you that 80% or more do not have internal sales training.
They just hire these people, will pay them 6 figures or whatever it is, and just not train them.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I trained them once 5 years ago, or I gave them some basic training that HR delivered.
Bought an SKO and they should be good to go for 12 months. For 12 months, 365
man. They're revved up. They're ready to kill it. Yeah. But phone sales is different. And that's like some of those micro tips, or
that's like trying to lose weight or something and eating healthy one day out of all year.
Right.
365.
Right. So think about even like, let's go sports for a second. Those guys train every day. Right?
Every day. Yeah. Every day. I study Kobe Bryant. I study LeBron James. I study Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Like I'm studying these guys like, because they're the best of the best. And it's like, dude, if you're not working hard or training like these guys in sales, you're never going to be
the best. And it cracks me up. Like the number one stat that people use to combat spending money on training is, but they're going to forget it all in blank days anyway. I train them and then they forget it all in 30 days. And I'm like, so you're thinking about it wrong, man. You're thinking about this as an event. You don't get to train them once. Like, how would you feel if your doctor didn't have to do any ongoing training, right? Like Kobe Bryant, yep, he went to training once, he's good. I mean, even your freaking realtor has to get continuing education credits. It's required by law to keep their license. And salespeople are on the court every single day, 3 hours a day, representing your company.
3 hours a day, like probably a lot more than that. You know,
I mean,
like
if you think about talk time, when they actually get to interact with a customer, you know what I mean? That's when they're on the court. Also, 90% of their time's leaving voicemails. So it's kind of frustrating that people wouldn't think to do that. But to be honest, some of it lies with the industry, right? Like, we have all been to really bad training.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a bummer that's ruined people's thoughts of it. And frankly, when the leaders of today came up, like you and I, how much training did our companies give us? We weren't used to that. We're not used to having to pay for
none.
Yeah. So in the last 5 years, we've seen people understand that recruiting has to be a line item in the budget. We've seen them understand that tools and the tech stack has to be a line item in the budget. But we haven't hit that tipping point yet for people to understand that development needs to be a line item in the budget.
Yeah, I think that's probably, I say, leads, training, and activity are top 3. Like, and if you get a shitload of leads and you don't know how to handle them, you're done.
You're wasting your money.
It's crazy.
And I got to tell you, Brandon, I mean, you'll love this, but I see that a ton. I'll go sit with a rep and be like, all right, here you go. You've got a killer list from Seamless. Who are you going to call first? And they're like, I like to start with EAs.
Yeah.
No, come on, man.
Well, and like, what are they going to say? What's their opener? What's their value proposition? What's their, social credibility, social proof, like closing, call to action?
There's so much.
Like, dude.
And usually we lose it at the very beginning of the call. So that's the micro tip for the sales training, is make sure that it is, number 1, specific to phone sales. Number 2, not being delivered by your HR department who can't sell anything. Number 3, get it, if you can afford it, get it customized so that you're always teaching your reps how to sell your products. Because if you're going to teach some sort of a high level theory and then expect the 20-year-old to do the homework, to go home and translate it and put it into his word and apply it to his industry and practice it on his own, that's a toughie. Right. And then that's tip number 4, is make sure there is as much hands-on as possible. Sometimes it has to be in a role play, but when I ran new hire training for those IBM divisions and then SAP, next job. And the key is to get on the phones as quickly as possible and start practicing that stuff. So those are some of the.
And when you say practicing, do you mean like internally with your peers, or do you mean like with prospects?
Prospects.
Okay.
Yeah. You need to get reps live on the phones as quickly as you can. Day 2, day 3, whatever the case.
Yeah. I just personally try to get them practicing like with their own team members so they don't fuck up on the phone with the prospect. Or do you have a different opinion?
No. I would do both. You got to do lots of role play. And you got to have them practice, but you want to get them live quickly too. Otherwise, like, some of the stage fright builds up.
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean?
I agree. I'm not saying like months of role playing.
Some places do that. Yeah. Like I find that companies, when they err in their new hire training, it's either I put them in for like months, or a day. Right. So if you're doing a day, let's be honest, you're doing orientation. You're not training them. And if you have hired salespeople who are okay sitting in a training class for a month or longer without making calls, you've hired the wrong damn person.
Dude. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because our training, like, after 24 to 48 hours, we expect you to selling.
Yeah. Good.
Like,
that's good.
Quick.
Yeah, which is cool. As long as then you've got to have this ramp. You've got to have the lower expectations. You've got to have that. It's okay to learn. It's really like, not only is it okay to fuck up, we applaud you.
Oh yeah, we love that. That's a micro secret. Like, because when I worked at IBM, let's talk about IBM. Like, I took all the blame. And I was never given any of the reward of like, you did a good job. It was always, if anything bad happens, it was because of you. Anything great happens, it was because of my boss or my chief revenue officer.
So you loved that place. Yes.
Yeah. I loved that place. Then I went and worked for Google, and it was the total opposite. It was total opposite. All supporters, fail fast, go big, try to crush it, If you fuck up, it doesn't matter. Like, it's interesting that you say that that's totally a micro secret that you just called out there.
You do. You have to encourage people to fail and learn from the failure. I would say the other big hack in shortening ramp time, because like we're in like 7 conversations at once, but I know that we're still talking about the buckets of things that people need to be trained on. But my very favorite secret is to use call recordings. So
nice. Tell me about that. Why is that one of your favorites?
Yep. I'm going to use a football analogy for you and talk a little bit about adult learning theory. So I'm going to geek out in 2 different directions. So the first one is this: adult learning theory. Like kids learn, you tell them something, they soak it up. They just believe it's true. I totally love screwing with my kids' heads about this stuff. They'll just buy it, awesome. Right? Yeah, they'll buy it. And you got to love that. Oh, sorry. No ice cream stores are open on Sundays. That's, like lying to my kids.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So anyway, adults, we don't do that. So I like to say that instead of boring people with like the science behind it, adults learn in file folders. Like in my head, I got a folder on lead companies. I got a folder on sales training. I got a folder on, whatever the case may be. And so adults, we have to relate to things. We have to tell our stories. We have to relate it to what we already know to learn something, which is why every rep, when they're in learning, has to come up to you and tell you the entire fucking story of the call. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You
it can't be like, hey, it was great. Here's the outcome. It was like, I called up. I said this. He said that. I said this. He said, it's like this one time at band camp, right? Don't you want to kind of self-harm at the beginning of that? But
you just need what's the one sentence?
They can't do it. They have to relate it and tell the stories, and they have to pull out the file folders. So the problem with most new hire training is that we teach them product, file folder. We teach them systems, file folder. We teach them sales, file folder. We teach them the process, the customer. That's 6 different file folders, okay? So when somebody is ramping up, even if they have 10 years experience, even if they've had amazing training, they don't hit it on day one because they're still trying to figure out, when do I pull out what folder? So the trick to ramp isn't the what they know. It's the when to use what they know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So if you can play a call recording, if you can play a lot of call recordings, doesn't even have to be them. And I call it the pause game. I think I have a YouTube video out there about that, where it's like, all right, we're going to listen to the call. We've listened to the first 15 seconds, pause. What's the customer thinking? If you were the rep, what would you do next?
I mean, I'd just be like, what the hell?
And then boom, they're like, oh, I pull out this folder. I would use this. Oh, this is where I use the value prop you taught me. I get it. Okay, great. Another 15 seconds. What's the customer thinking? What would you do next? And what happens is a couple things. One, they can finally hear the voice of the customer, because let's be honest, every rep in their first 100 calls is just so nervous. They never hear the customer. You ask them how the call goes afterwards. The truth is they don't fucking know, because it was just like, right?
Yeah. They have no idea.
Yeah. So the game was moving too fast for them. So this is where the sports analogy comes in. It's like when somebody says you've got a new quarterback and they're like at year 2, year 3, and they're like, yeah, you know what, Brandon, the game's really slowing down for him. And that's what listening to call recordings do. Because imagine, like, talk about things moving fast. You're a quarterback and there are very large people blitzing towards you, right?
I'm a big Tom Brady fan, and we got the Super Bowl coming up. So like Tom Brady. It's funny, actually, Brady watches more film than I think any
He's learned to find the holes. He sees the patterns. Even though, right, he may be in the pocket for all of like 6.2 seconds, in his mind, it's an hour long. He's watching it unfold. Okay. When he first got there, even though it was 6.2 seconds, it felt like a second, maybe half a second. And that's where your reps are. Okay. Like they're getting in, the customer says something, they're in the pocket, man. Are you going to throw the ball away? Are you going to fumble? Are you going to pass? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And they don't know yet. They don't have the experience of, oh, here's what works here. Here's where I pull out a use case. Here's where I pull out a question. Here's where I pull out that one screen I have to fill out in the CRM. So when you play game tape and the pause game, you shorten ramp time because you slow the game down for them and you help teach them when to pull out which folder.
Got it. So they're doing a pitch, a demo, cold calling, whatever. You're recording it. And then after you record it, you recommend to like sit down and go through it with them one-on-one?
You got to do that
what
100%. That's just good call coaching, right? But I'm talking about in this new hire training, before they even made a call, listen to 10 of other people's calls.
Ah, got it. Okay.
And you ask them what they would do. Does that make sense?
Sweet. Yeah. So, okay. So you'll like pause it halfway through and then ask them like, okay, what would you do in this situation?
I pause
like situational.
Every 20 seconds.
Interesting.
Yeah. Every time the customer says something or the rep gets done saying something, you just got done with the intro, pause. What do you think the customer's going to do? Well, I think he's going to hang up and give him the brush off because that intro.
Very cool.
Right? Well,
Damn.
I think he's going
to. I don't do this. I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't do this. Yeah. I just give them a shitload of recordings and I say, listen and learn.
Yeah. Coach them through it a little bit. The pause game. Check out a YouTube video on that. I don't even know how to tell you to search for that, but look for my name and Factor 8 and the pause game. And
the pause game.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I have to look that up.
It's so helpful. It's my number one hack for shortening ramp. And that was really like what I was chasing. That was my whale through my career in corporate America before starting Factor 8. How do I get reps to quota faster?
Oh, I like that. And call recording and having them sit there with you, listen to other people's calls and pause and ask them like critical thinking. It's like critical thinking questions almost.
It's 100% that. Yeah. It's all about.
But they don't have to do it because like they don't have the pressure of being on the actual call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nobody's rushing. Nobody's blitzing them at the moment.
Ah, that's interesting. Because I always thought like, okay, you pitch, you record yourself, you go back, you listen to it.
Yeah.
You try to improve, but you're saying like other people's calls, play out the situations.
Started a new hire training, 100%. And then keep doing that, right? So the number one thing millennials are looking for in job satisfaction is development. And we're not doing it, right? We were just talking about the fact people aren't budgeting for training. So development can be, buying.
I told my guy, this is hilarious. This is how much I believe in this. My guy, my SDR posted on LinkedIn, hey, starting to make some extra cash. I want to figure out investment options on 401k and yada, yada, yada. Ryan, I literally comment on him, don't do it. Market is crashing. Triple down on yourself and fucking go all in.
Yeah.
I told him that. I'm like, I don't know, 99% of people would probably think I'm fucking nuts, but like, dude, don't waste the time. If you invest in yourself.
At his age,
you'll 10x, 100x your investment.
Big time.
Versus some 7%, bullshit.
Good for you. Yeah, good for him too. All right, so we're going to run out of time. I know.
Yeah, so let's dive into it. Sales secrets from the top 1%. Where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. LB, Lauren Bailey, what is your number one top sales secret?
The silver bullet?
Yes, the thing that will maximize your, if you had to go back in time from the beginning, your top secret, that one thing.
The silver bullet is talk time.
Okay. Talk time. So we got to dive into what is talk time. Why is it the silver bullet? And then how does the audience execute it?
You got it. Here we go. We're going to do it quickly too. Coffee's not for closers anymore. It can't be, right? Because in digital sales, like 90% of your calls are going to go to voicemail. People pick up your phone, like the phone call on accident, because I thought it was the kids' daycare. It is hard to get them on the phone. It is hard to keep them on the phone. It's nearly impossible to get them to call you back. But nothing gets to really happen until a conversation starts. And we can play the sales versus marketing all day long, right? Marketing is going to brand you, but nobody's going to buy something until you actually talk. So if you want your people to have higher results, you help them get more conversations, help them get more talk time. We focus on that first. And the ways we focus on that, number one, leaving a better voicemail. It is the simplest skill. Half of your reps aren't even leaving them today, but you can make some very small tweaks and you will get double, triple, quadruple. I had a client a couple of weeks ago, 27x. They literally got none. They took our online voicemails class. In 2 days, they got 27 voicemail callbacks. Right?
What was one of the tricks there? Just share one.
Yeah, the number one trick I'll tell you on that one is never sell over voicemail. The purpose of your voicemail is number one, to get them to call you back so you can sell them something. And then number two, to leave a brand, right? If it takes 7 touches for somebody to buy something, each one of your voicemails can and should be that brand. Don't waste your time not leaving one.
I love that. Never sell in a voicemail. I like
Never
that.
sell in a voicemail. Why the hell would I call you back? Right? I don't want that.
Never.
And I've done it. We all have. If you don't really think about it and take some good training and work hard to create a fantastic voicemail, you're going to leave a shitty voicemail. I've left hundreds of them. We all have. My favorite one was when I was calling this guy who was in a class of mine that I had a crush on back in my single days.
Nice.
And like, I looked down, I've been talking for 3 minutes into his voicemail. I hang up and I'm like, did I seriously just tell Steve Scher that I was single in a voicemail? Did that actually just happen?
Nice.
Yes. Luckily I married him later, so it was okay.
There you go.
All right. So the next skill.
Talk
the
time.
next skill in talk time. Number one is voicemails. Quit wasting your opportunity in voicemails. If you actually get a call back, it's the warmest call you get all day. The second one is your introduction, right? 95% of the intros out there suck. Your intro is not your value prop, you guys. All that does is scream sales call. So the key is to lead with value to get them leaning in and talking right away. That is the purpose of a phone sales introduction.
Love that. Lead with value in your intro.
100%. 100%. And then the third one is get good at overcoming the brush off, because we're all seasoned to brush off. The brush off is not an objection. An objection you can actually refute. It comes later in the sales process. It is informed. A brush off is basically piss off, I'm busy, not I don't like your product. I don't even know who you are yet. I'm just telling you to piss off because I'm busy. So those three really super simple skills can actually double or triple your talk time. And that's just getting you more at bats, man. That's Moneyball. Get on first.
I love that. And the value, do you have an example of like the value, like how you would lead with value, like right in the intro?
This is Brandon. I'm calling with Seamless. And the goal of my call is to see if I can help you get a little bit more return on your investment with your leads. Are you buying leads today?
Got it. So like the value of like, dude, I want to make you more money with the leads that you're paying for, and just tie it into like these different value.
People care about the same things all the time, right? It's like save me time, make me money or save me money, help make my life a little bit easier, protect me from risk. There's some core values, but the truth of the matter is they're not listening to you anyway in the intro, right? Like, what did you hear? Lead, ROI, buy? Like, that's all you remember from what I just said, right? All you're trying to do is perk their ear a tiny bit to get them to quit typing email and answer the question you asked them at the end of the intro. The goal of the intro is to get them talking.
That's awesome. So in our audience, so that they could execute, get more talk time. It's obviously important if they're talking with people, they've got an opportunity to sell and close, whether it's an appointment, a deal, you name it. And so for them to execute these three pillars, the number one, like, what would you say are your top tips for executing these three pillars, just for everyone as a takeaway?
I would say if I were going to do a generic and you were just going to really come in and work on those is write your own script. Don't take anybody else's. Focus completely on the value for them. Keep it micro, 10 seconds or less.
Ooh, I like that.
And deliver it with some personality. Be you.
Be you. Yeah, and I like what's in it for them, the value.
Yeah, we call it SWIFT. Everyone's heard of WIFM? SWIFT. So what's in it for them?
Yep. Yeah, I say everyone's listening to the radio station WIIFM.
Yeah.
That's not for me. Which is
it's like, but in sales, we have to be the opposite. Like if you listen to so many phone calls, it's all about me and my product and what I want to do and the reason for my call and what I want to get out of it. And what I want to say to those people is like,
terrible.
Good for you, buddy, but you're going to have to call your grandma because I don't give a damn.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Call your mom, tell her about it. That's awesome. Wow. So we've got a lot of, you got to maximize your talk time. We've got the 3 strategies on how to do that. LB, Lauren Bailey, I know we both have to run. Where can the audience learn, subscribe, connect with you?
That's so good.
More?
So the first thing you can do is actually take some of these classes at no charge in our free trial on the Sales Bar. Go to thesalesbar.com. You can sign up for a free 2-week trial and you will get online training on voicemail, script starters, recorded call libraries, hear it, play the pause game. All of that stuff is there. We have a system like you, Brandon, where we went SaaS model. on this. You're not going to pay for class.
And all my SDRs are on the sales bar. It's awesome. It's on demand. They could use it whenever they want. So like, I don't have to worry
Nobody's
about
running up
it.
a bill. It's a flat monthly cost.
20 to 30 minutes a day. They're training every day. I think they should be doing 7 hours a day, but
somebody will yell at them about talk time.
Sweet.
So yeah, you can find us at thesalesbar.com. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. We share tons of good tips there. We talk about what's happening new at Factor 8, where we're speaking, sales tips, and Girls Club. I know we didn't even have time to talk about that, but I'm all about helping get more women into sales leadership positions. So find me on LinkedIn. You can also find us at factor8.com.
Awesome. Well, Lauren Bailey, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%. And thank you for the audience for joining us with Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. Order a copy of the book at secretsalesbook.com, secretsalesbook.com. That's secretsalesbook.com. And go connect and follow with Lauren Bailey after the show.
So Brandon, is that secretsalesbook.com?
Yeah, that's just at secretsalesbook.com. You know, if you forget, it's secretsalesbook.com.
Secretsalesbook.com. All right, we got it. That was fun.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%. We release new episodes every Monday and Thursday, so make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube to never miss an episode.